we have an atheist, Paul, in North Carolina, who wants to talk about why theists like the quantum consciousness theories.
Go for it.
How you doing, Paul?
Hi.
I'm doing all right. Little stage fright, but I got an anonymity to shelter me.
Hey, you're fine. I'm fumbling words today. We can do this all together. We'll all be in a mess together. How about that? I didn't even know what a crab and a lobster was earlier, so I'm all over the place.
One of my favorite deeper introductions into physics was this late 70s book called Dance of the Wu Li Masters. And one of the ways in which it appealed to me is that I was raised by hippie Sikhs that are more, I don't know, they're secular and humanists. They passed, both of my parents, but still talk about them as if they're as active. And so it appealed to me because it kind of runs down a kind of comparative world religion analysis of the Upanishads in India and modern developments with quantum physics in the past century, how quantum physics has thrown basic assumptions on their ear. And it emphasized, and it was written, I think, in the late 70s. It certainly emphasized what I would currently, I think most physicists would agree is it's extremely theoretical, or it's attempted mysticism, tapping the creative genius with highly speculative models,
Yeah.
But quantum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, quantum consciousness, Leonard Susskind's quantum consciousness, it's been getting some various YouTube play, and I learned about it much later, frankly, from Leonard's YouTube lectures.
Can you help me? Can you help me out there? Is that because I'm not familiar off the top of my head? Does that have to do with like the observer effect or things like that, or what is that specifically? Because
in a sense, it's been kept very, very nicely workable with the current with the standard model. So has string theory, and a lot of people is like, yeah, and that's almost like physics mysticism,
Sure.
Or
what's
I could say, or until it gets proved,
the main assertion?
Falsifiability.
What's like the main assertion? What's like the main assertion here? Is the main assertion like string theory, therefore the universe is a brain? Is that kind of what's going on?
I would say that that would be deceptive to reduce it like that, and I wouldn't say that it's string theory, therefore the universe is a brain. It's much more God of the gaps in its true theoretical kind of form, not like its abuses,
Well, sure, because I mean,
theoretical, but it's hypothetical, not theoretical. Hypothetical. We don't have evidence. Suskind's been looking for nanotubules in our neurons because we've hit this wall with AI where we did blue brain models, perfect ones, and they don't live, or they don't think, rather. That might be, we just haven't made a cluster big enough yet. But a lot of physicists have been taking the rabbit hole of the interconnection between consciousness and the collapse of superposition. And so Bell, Susskind, and some mainstream physicists have been exploring the root of saying, if we say that the collapse of the waveform into a point location is consciousness, even an electron in a vacuum with no interactions will collapse superposition once every billion or so years. I'm not going to, but it's, some huge amount of time. And so if we
a lot of this is gonna, let me cut you off real fast, because a lot of this is stuff that will go way over my head. I don't pretend to know quantum mechanics in any level of expertise. But what I will say is it seems to be pretty point blank. None of the mathematics are following this idea of consciousness or quantum consciousness.
No, all the
right?
mathematics is following it.
I would disagree. To me, so I don't know much, but it's from the conversations I've had on it, doesn't seem that is a shared.
How can you say that if you just said you don't understand the argument being made?
Well, listen.
It's a mainstream.
Listen.
Okay.
I don't want to have to mute you. What I'm trying to say is that that's why I prefaced that I don't know, is that from the people that I've talked to that do know, my co-host on one of my shows, brother is a quantum physics teacher. He's been on our show a bunch, and then my co-host is a PhD in philosophy. And when I asked this question, it seems that this is not really this isn't anything that has the same type of work and mathematics or models that you have beyond that, right?
The issue, it does. The issue is,
well, no, hold on. Is it using the observer? Hold on. Is it using the observer? Do they cite the observer effect in anything that you're reading?
The observer effect is, I suppose, an element, but it far more relies on the Copenhagen, and then it transitioned. You could see they transitioned it nicely into quantum chromodynamics and the current, quantum virtual particle fields. And it works. They're currently working it because they were the pioneers of the Susskind was, and a large part of the team that pioneered the holographic principle.
So I gotta stop you, Paul. I gotta stop you because it feels like I'm just being lectured right now and like told these things, but I don't like see any endpoint to where you're going. And no offense, my patience is kind of running out because like, what's the goal? Like, what are you? Well, you
just think that the root of the issue is in the wrong direction. This is a working mysticism, but it's a highly speculative. When you say there's not, the math doesn't work with it. No, that's the only thing that works conveniently with it. The issue is that we don't have nanotubules. We don't know that human beings are.
When we say the maths works to show consciousness, I mean, what's the maths of consciousness? I don't know how that makes sense as an assertion.
They defined it.
We can model like a human brain in some way.
I think what he's trying to say, from my perspective, is more so touching on underdetermination and philosophy of science, where you can take kind of some idea and rival it with the same data or evidence and say, well, this is this, we could have some alternate hypothesis to rival that. The problem is that the difference between the two is that isn't generating any future predictions, right? It's like I can do that anytime I want. I can just So then we're in agreement, but I don't really know what the point of the conversation is because we're just going to agree with each other, and I don't really know what good that does.
Well, I mean, we can come up with like a different model that fits the data for absolutely anything, can't we? Whatever function of anything you have, you can come up with.
Quantum consciousness seems like bullshit until somebody can actually demonstrate that it's reflective of reality. Now, where do we go from here?
It demonstrates that it's reflective of reality in a way that's discernible from it not being reflective of reality. You know what I mean?
I didn't understand.
Not really. I have to listen back to understand it. But hey, Paul, I'm gonna move on. I'll move on to calls because I got some theist callers and get that. But I appreciate the call. This is not my pay grade at all to go over quantum physics. I just feel disingenuous doing that, to be honest. So. But I appreciate your work and the things you're looking into it, and I don't really know what to add.
I'm a couch jockey enthusiast, sir. Don't go attributing authority or something or to my personal interests.
All right, well, we'll move on. I don't really know how to respond, but
thanks, Paul.
We appreciate it, Paul.
Perhaps I'll go read more about it.